Hello Tritons, Matthew Smith. I'm an architect that works here at the university for capital program management, and I'm the project manager for North Torrey Pines Living and Learning neighborhood. You may have seen me recently in a tour of construction logistics meetings in and around campus, but for those who've missed, we're putting together this video so that you can have access to the information online when you need it, if there's questions, and also to introduce some of the faces that are associated with the project if you have questions later on. So I have a few slides that I'm going to speak to. The focus is going to be high overview of what the project's going to be for those who are unfamiliar with the program, but mostly a deep dive into the actual construction logistics and what the campus is going to see between spring of 2018 and the fall of 2020. After I'm done, the new Director of Parking and Transportation, Josh Kavanaugh, is going to take the microphone and walk you through some of the logistics as it pertains to shuttle routes, shuttle access, parking, and an overall view of what the campus is going to look like from a parking and transportation standpoint while this construction is going on. North Torrey Pines Living and Learning neighborhood is one of the fundamental components of what the Chancellor is describing as the transformation of campus at UC San Diego. This project is fundamentally a new home for Six College that currently rests in Pepper Canyon, but also it's the new home for the Arts and Humanities Dean, the Social Sciences Dean, each of whom will be sitting in a new building. There are 8 general assignment classrooms of large scale, a 600-seat lecture hall that you can see here in the foreground of this image, a 350-seat lecture hall, 2 250-seat lecture halls, one of which is focused on film study and history study. And then there will be 4 general assignment classrooms that are considered active learning, much like what Dr. Weinhausen is doing at the Teaching and Learning Commons at Geisel Library. There are 2 50 seats and 2 75-seat general assignment classrooms. Beyond that scope, there are 2,000 beds that are Six College beds. There's a new home for Six College administration and culture, art, and technology. There's dining from housing, dining, and hospitality. It's the new home for the Craft Center for those of us that remember the Craft Center of old in Muir College. There will be 1,200 stalls of parking that are underground, subterranean. And as well, there is activation of Ridgewalk. This project will enhance the public realm in and around this area of campus in an effort to activate this portion of campus and reclaim Ridgewalk from what is currently a road that wraps around lots P207 and P208, taking that road, realigning it with Scholars Lane, Scholars Drive, and reclaiming Ridgewalk for pedestrians and bikes that will separate this project with SSRB and Peterson Hall. So to orient us a bit, referencing this image, but also speaking about this area of campus, we are standing looking at a rendering of what will be North Torrey Pines Living and Learning neighborhood. We are standing at the crux of Muir College Drive and Ridgewalk. Our backs are turned towards the faculty club. We can turn our eyes north and look up Ridgewalk. And to our left, but outside of the frame, is Muir College. This is lots P207, P208, the current home of the Bubble Building, as it's called, the NMR facility. So from a construction logistics standpoint, this project will go into construction directly after commencement this year on June 19th, 2018. And the duration of construction will take us from this spring 2018 through until an opening fall of 2020. So starting with some information that's available to us online. First, there's a website, livingandlearning.ucsd.edu. On this website, there's a deeper discussion about the program, some of the qualitative and quantitative facts about the project, and also a moment where you can access and see frequently asked questions and maybe ask if you'd like, your own questions by an email address that's listed on the website. Also available online at maps.ucsd.edu is a more interactive map where you can zoom in to this project, or you can zoom out and you can toggle through different functions to see. You can interrogate basically the website to ask what construction's going on, where we are parking and transportation, etc. For the latest in parking transportation, transportation.ucsd.edu. I can't stress this enough, and Josh Kavanaugh will come up and speak about this as well. Their site is evolving, and a lot of the questions that I've been seeing and hearing of late, both on the phone, online, in meeting, in presentation, have to do with parking and transportation. Where am I going to park? What's the campus going to look like over the next few years? And I would invite you to go to transportation.ucsd.edu, where you will see a transformation of that website, where a lot of many of your questions are asked and answered, and also there is a plethora of information about resources you have available to you over the next few years and moving into the future with your own commute, with the trolley coming to town, with shuttles, where are the shuttles now, where are the stops going to be. So from a construction logistics standpoint, many of these slides are going to be aimed at describing to you what we anticipate seeing and what we need to anticipate during construction over the next few years, but also they're built to be answers to some of the questions we've been hearing. This slide is built to answer the question of, are there or will there be trucks within campus associated with this project? The primary trucking route and vehicle routes during construction for North Torrey Pines Living and Learning Neighborhood will be around the campus. They will circumnavigate the campus, North Torrey Pines Road, Gilman from the 5. As well, the contractor parking, you can see here centrally is the construction site, and contractor parking will not be on campus. Contractors will be parking out at the glider port. So this slide zooms in a little bit closer to our site and is focused on the logistics, the shuttles, and the trucks that will be in and around the site during construction. As you can see in blue, there are the shuttle routes for the contractors picking up and dropping off at the glider port to and from the site, and the trucking routes that will find their way on North Torrey Pines into the site. During construction, lots P206, 302, 303, and 304, which are faculty club, Marshall administration, and both of the campus extension lots will be up and running, and there will be access to those lots throughout construction and throughout the project. This slide, and I'm going to invite Josh to speak to this when he gets his opportunity. This slide shows the shuttle routes that are in and around the site during construction and throughout. As you'll see, the current shuttle stop that is in between Peterson and SSRB and the P207 and 208 parking lots will go down during construction, as will the shuttle stops that are at Muir Field. They will be replaced by a pickup and drop off at Mandeville Center that'll have a loop that is fed from the Osler parking structure, which will open the summer of 2018. So this slide shows us the site as we see it today. In magenta, there's the existing UCSD shuttle route. You can see the stop here between 207 and Peterson Hall. And in cyan, you can see the pedestrian routes in and around the site. As we transition into construction, what you will see is fencing. This yellow line depicts the construction fence. Inside the fence will be the construction site. Outside will be where we are rerouting some of the pedestrian routes around the site. You'll see the shuttle stop goes away. We have shown here that there will be some lane closures on Muir Lane and Muir College Lane, but there will be no moment where they're completely closed down, where that street is completely closed down for access. If you focus on lot P302, part of this construction will be taking what is currently an out-only path at P202, which is the Marshall Administration lot, and converting it into an in-out lot directly off of Scholars. So as we take a step back from our site, we can see the pedestrian routes, the primary pedestrian routes, will, instead of going along Ridgewalk, will be rerouted to the east and through Social Sciences or SSRB building, CogSci, and Peterson. There will be a new sidewalk built to help pedestrians have a safe path on the outside of the Faculty Club lot that connects the Marshall College to Muir College. You will see in between AP&M and Faculty Club, or the AP&M and the Faculty Club lot, you'll see some construction trailers that are parked there for the duration of construction. Construction hours will be Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. You may see some activity outside of those times, but not without the authorization of the university. It's easier to talk about the construction process with image than it is in plan. And these next few images will show you the scale and the density of construction that's going to be going on. So at the bottom here of the slide, you can see a diamond that designates where we are chronologically during construction. The image shows what the site is going to look like associated with that timeline. As you can see here, for a good portion, the first few months of construction and even driving towards the winter of 2019, we will be in the dirt, as they say. We'll be digging out what will be the parking structure, and then also we will be clearing out the western site, which will become the two housing buildings. As we transition into the spring, so a year from now, the spring of 2019, that's when you'll start to see the buildings really start coming out of the ground. So you can see an image here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cranes. You'll see multiple cranes, you'll see a tremendous amount of activity, but it will be contained within the fence line. So summer into fall of 2019, you'll see the housing buildings, which are the west portion of the site, will have come out of the ground more quickly than the east portion of the site. That's because they're not built over parking. And the cranes will continue to erect what we will see is the towers. So as we transition into spring of 2020, we are on the downhill slope focused on an opening of fall of 2020. So the buildings will have their skin, you'll start to see the finishes, you'll start to really see what this project will look like on opening day. And as we ramp up from summer into the fall, you'll see the landscape starting to take form and the buildings starting to be finished, the flat work being done, and the refinements necessary to turn what's a construction site into the new home for Six College. Our final image is an artist rendering of the North Torrey Pines Living and Learning neighborhood. You'll see in the foreground that we've maintained the existing vegetation on the berm that separates North Torrey Pines Road from the university, and in the background an artist rendering of what is a LEED Platinum sustainable site, 1.6 million gross square feet of living and learning neighborhood, and the new home for Six College.
So as Matt said, I'm Josh Cavanaugh. I'm your new Director of Transportation, and what an exciting moment to join the University of California at San Diego in, and what an incredible project to get to be a part of. This is a new way of working for the university to really build out an entire neighborhood, an entire college at one time. And that brings all sorts of opportunity with it. It also brings some transportation challenges, so we'll talk about those for just a minute. The first place I'd like to turn to is your Transportation Services website at transportation.ucsd.edu. And as you refer to the navigation bar on the top of your screen, you'll find a construction tab over to the right side. If you click on that, you'll find a summary of all of the transportation information related to this project and also every other campus construction project that's ongoing. Now there's a lot of information there, and you don't necessarily need all of that information depending on how you get to campus, where you tend to park. So we've provided a way for you to tell us what's important to you so that we can then provide you timely information about just those things that you care about. If you navigate to the Engage tab on the website, you'll see a few different options. The first option that I'd like to call your attention to is First to Know. First to Know is our email subscription service where you can tell us where you tend to park, which shuttles you might ride, if you're interested in alternative modes of transportation like bicycling or ride sharing. And then as campus construction or other activities on campus program enhancements occur, we can let you know about changes that affect just those things that you care about. The next thing that I'd like to call your attention to is our virtual town hall. Also located in the Engage section of our website, the virtual town hall is our tool for providing a very inclusive process for decision making on policy and on major operational changes. Whenever we consider a major change, we post a summary of our intention and why we're looking at that here. We invite input from the campus community. At the end of the comment period, we post a summary of what we heard and also any refinements that we're making to the plan. Right now, in our virtual town hall, we've got the tenets for parking reallocation for the North Torrey Pines Living and Learning neighborhood. I hope that you'll take a moment to visit the site and offer your feedback both on the tenets and ultimately on the parking reallocation plan when that's posted. We've decided to use tenets to guide the parking reallocation for North Torrey Pines Living and Learning because of the scale of the project. When we're dealing with the relocation of 1,000 parking spaces of varying types, we want to make sure that we're not unduly swayed by the most recent person that we've talked to or by the loudest voice in the room. By having a set of tenets that we stay true to, we can rebalance the parking system in a principled sort of way that makes sure that we best serve the university's operational needs along with the needs of commuters. So as Matt touched on, shuttles will be a key part of our parking mitigation plan along with the Osler parking garage. First, we'll talk about Osler. You can see the Osler garage highlighted here in green, and it's serviced by a number of campus shuttle routes. Specifically, I'd like to call out our SIO shuttle and/or South Campus connector, and also the West Campus connector. SIO shown in yellow, and the West Campus connector shown in pink. So both of those shuttles serve the Osler parking structure every 15 minutes and provide a direct connection into Mandeville Loop in the heart of Muir College. If you're accessing the south side of the construction site, you couldn't ask for a better solution than parking at Osler and riding the shuttle, or simply using the shuttle from your regular parking location. Because the construction site closes the campus loop road, we'll need to detour the West Campus connector onto North Torrey Pines. We're adding an extra shuttle to that route to make sure that we preserve headways. We're also going to be offering a new connection to the glider port, so that folks parking at the glider port will be able to easily access both the north and south side of the construction site. Construction is simply a fact of life at any major university, and a university is growing as fast as UC San Diego. It's certainly something that we're wrestling with here. Universities tend to build on surface parking lots and transition that land to a higher and better use. When that occurs, we consolidate parking into large and strategically placed garage. The Osler garage is just one example of what we're doing with that. The really important point is that beginning this fall with the opening of the Osler garage, we'll be delivering replacement parking ahead of all new campus construction. And so while we'll lose about 3,000 stalls between now and the opening of light rail in 2022, we'll actually be adding more than 6,000 stalls for a net gain of more than 3,000. 1,450 of those new stalls will be launched by the beginning of fall quarter 2018. 100 of them will be in the form of an expansion of parking at the North Torrey Pines glider port, and 1,350 of them will be opened at the Osler garage. At the glider port, we'll be taking the commuter parking that's currently located on the south side of the glider port and consolidating it at the east edge. That will shorten the walking distance for people parking at the glider port to the shuttle stops on North Torrey Pines. Also, we'll be cutting a new entrance to that area of the lot, which separates commuter parking activity from construction laydown and parking activity. That way, egress and ingress for the lot will be simpler for UCSD commuters. There's a whole host of other measures that we're using to manage transportation and parking around the construction area. We'll be relocating A, B, and S parking from the construction site into their interim locations, mostly adjacent to the construction, but also in other areas around the campus. We'll be adding time-limited spaces for both A and B permit holders so that they can have easy access to the site when they just need to pop in to conduct office hours, teach a class, or drop off a package. We're significantly increasing carpool parking spaces around the site. This is something that we've heard from both staff and students is really important in terms of providing that extra little bit of access to the most desirable locations on the campus. It's also a way for us to serve even more people with the existing resources. We're expanding ADA parking adjacent to the site, not only taking all of the ADA parking that was within P207 and P208 and moving it to lots at the periphery of the construction site, but also adding additional ADA parking, recognizing that the construction site itself is a bit of a mobility barrier, and we want to make sure that folks who need to then rely on a personal vehicle to circulate have the ability to do so, park, and make it to their location on time. To make better use of our limited parking space on campus, we'll also be making some modifications to our reserved parking program. With the current delivery model, an individual 24/7 reserve space is the only tool that we have to provide reserved parking. Going forward, we'll be pooling reserved parking as the primary model for delivery. That allows us to serve more people with the same number of spaces while still assuring predictable access. We're extending our ProRide pilot program, which helps faculty, MSP staff, and postdocs circulate within the campus. We'll also be continuing our partnerships with Lyft and Spin to provide better intra-campus mobility and even alternative commute solutions for those who live close to the university. For recent construction projects on the campus, valet parking has been a desirable option, and we'll be piloting that with this project as well. We believe that when Osler comes online at the end of the summer, it will remove much of the congestion and eliminate the need for valet. But we'll pilot valet during the summer, and if there's a need to continue it into the fall quarter, we'll absolutely do so. Finally, and this is one that I'm particularly excited about, for faculty and staff members who haven't ridden transit as their regular means of commuting within the last 2 years, this summer, I'm buying your EcoPass. That's a free transit pass that'll help you commute back and forth to the university while leaving your car at home and some cash in your pocket. This is a big project, and we've done our very best to predict the university's needs and put effective solutions in place. We're going to continue to monitor how things are going. We'll continue to amend the suite of tools that we have available to help you with your commute and movement within the campus. And if you have suggestions along the way, we'd love to hear from you. Just email us at telltps, that's TELLTPS, @ucsd.edu. We look forward to hearing from you.